This is Morgan Hazelwood, back again with more writing tips and writerly musings. Taking a step back from current events, I'm here with Writing for Anthologies, part 2 of my virtual Balticon panel notes. The panelists for this were Michael Ventrella as moderator, Keith R.A. DeCandido, John L. French, Monica Luzone, and Jean Marie Ward. While many writers are publishing novels or sending short stories off to magazines, other writers have found anthologies to be a great space for their work. Some of these writers find inspiration from the anthology's submission call, while others write what they want, then find them a home. Here are 3 reasons to write for anthologies. First, it's a great space for short stories, especially those that might be too long for most magazines. Secondly, your audience is extended by the audience and fans of all the other writers included in the anthology. And thirdly, it can help you network with those writers, sometimes. 4 tips and approaches for writing for anthologies. First, pay attention to guidelines. They're there for a reason, just like with any querying or submission process. Don't make your work easy to reject on a technicality. Don't waste your time writing something that the anthology isn't actually looking for. 2, start your story where it starts. Short stories don't have time for a lot of background. Make sure that the stakes are on the first page. Third, if your story was pre-existing and revised to fit the submission guidelines, make sure it doesn't feel forced. And 4, if you're creating a new story for the anthology, don't just do the first idea that pops into your head that fits the theme. There are likely going to be tons of people who just happen to have that same idea. Try to do something less expected, maybe your 4th idea or so. And 5 reasons why your story might not get chosen. Obviously, number 1 is it stinks. Sometimes your story just doesn't do what you want it to do. It falls flat. It just doesn't work. Maybe you need to remember how grammar works. Maybe, your characters are one-dimensional. You probably know what you need to work on. Number 2, it doesn't meet the guidelines. If they're looking for A and you send them B, well, that's an easy rejection. Bye-bye. Number 3, too many other submissions were along the same theme. Yes, it is a themed anthology, but if the stories are too similar, they're not going to contrast well, and people don't want to read the same story with slightly different characters over and over again. That's not what anthologies are for. 4, another story with a strong resemblance to yours was just the better fit. And finally, the story you wrote might have been great, but it didn't work with the tone and the themes of the other stories selected, because it is an ensemble and all the pieces need to support each other. Now, if your story is not selected, do wait a year at least before submitting it elsewhere. Many publishers are inundated with themed stories right after an anthology makes their selections. Don't get lost in the crowd. If yours is solid, if yours is a good story, you don't want to go up against everybody else that looks similar. You want to stand out. So wait a bit. Flags to watch out for. Not all anthologies are going to be a good home for your work. Here are a few things you want to look out for. 1, they don't pay you. Let's not even talk about the ones you have to pay to enter. Secondly, their previously published works have bad formatting or otherwise look unprofessional. And third, and most importantly, the rights don't expire and revert back to you. Now, this isn't to say that all unpaid publishing opportunities are always red flags, but make sure you're comfortable associating your name and your work with their brand. Now, I know I've made a few of these mistakes, but with my attempts last NaNoWriMo to work on creating shorts, I've got quite a few projects to polish and find homes for. Have you submitted to anthologies? Do you like them? And that's all for today. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, hit that subscribe button and share it with all your friends. It goes a long way towards helping people find me. And I'll be back again next Monday with more writing tips and writerly musings. Bye-bye.